has to say coming up in a little bit. Right now, I want to bring on a partner at Forward Solution Strategy Group, Democratic strategist Isaac Wright. Isaac, good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Well, thanks for being on the show. President Trump signing this document to keep families at the border together. Does this show compassion, a willingness to compromise? Is it purely political? What are your thoughts on what he did?
I mean, I think this was purely political. The president saw the reaction in the country to the image of children being torn from their mothers, little boys being torn from their fathers, infants being torn from their parents. This is a really emotional issue that goes to the moral fabric of the country and what we stand for. I think there is a credibility problem the administration has encountered. And recall when this first started, when the president introduced his policy on separating children and infants from their parents, he said it would take an act of Congress to change it. This was a congressional matter. He said that as recently as the morning that he decided to change his policy. The Secretary of Homeland Security has faced terrible blows to her own credibility for having been one of the administration's front people out on this, talking extensively about how her department and the executive branch had nothing to do with this. They couldn't change it. And then that was, Monday? And then Wednesday the president said, oh, yes, this is my policy and I can change it at will, and did. Not to mention there's problems in the details, right? There are some 2,300 children, over 2,000 children right now who have been separated from their parents. Look at these stories of kids in Michigan that are separated from their parents. They don't even know where their parents are, haven't seen them for like 30 days. They're 8, 9, 11 months old. There is nothing in this EO that the president issued yesterday about how to reunite those children with their parents. So this is a change in the president's policy on separating children from their parents going forward, but it does nothing to address these over 2,000 kids who are out in limbo right now, who haven't seen or had contact with their parents in many cases in 30 days.
All right, let me ask you this, Isaac. Let me ask you this. Chuck Schumer the other day said all he has to do with his pen is change this and everything's good. He did that, yet he's still getting criticized. Why? Well, because he, like I just said, he did not do anything to address what happens to the 2,300 kids in this country who've already been separated from their parents, right? Okay. There are 2,300 young lives at stake that the president neglected to bother with. But the fact but Isaac, what about... And if the president passed it... Can I finish your answer about the Chuck Schumer comment? Yes. The point that Schumer made was this is the president's decision. He did this. He needs to fix it. The president only made a half measure. This does not solve, one, the immediate kids who are out there right now. Those are young lives who were, at no decision of their own, found themselves in this position. Okay, so let me... It doesn't address the long term of if you're going to charge every parent, they can be held now with their child, with their infant. They'll be held in detention together, but what happens to them in the long term? Okay, so let me jump in here, Isaac. Let me jump in. Every child Isaac parts at the border as okay, Isaac. Let me jump in. Isaac, thank you for letting me finish. Yeah. Okay, so let me jump in. You said through no fault of their own. Correct. It's not Trump's fault they're in that situation. Their parents put them in that situation, or the adults who brought them over, number one. Number two, do you feel there's any culpability on Guatemala, on all these Central American countries who continue to give no future to their citizens because of corruption or rampant drug lords running their company? I mean, why does this all fall on Trump in your mind when previous administrations didn't address it, when they were put in that situation by their own parents or the adults bringing them over, or by the countries that they were raised in? Why is it all Trump? Man, those are really good questions. There are a couple of really good questions there together. Can I answer them separately? Because they're really good questions. Sure. Go ahead. The first is the culpability of the president, right? And that goes back to what you said, Schumer pointed out. This was the president's decision to separate these children. The immediacy of how these children are treated
That was the president's decision, right?
It's law. He's just enforcing. He's just enforcing law.
Now he admitted yesterday that decision was wrong, and that going forward they will not separate children. So that's number one. The second part is the culpability of the past and how that relates to countries today. I'll use El Salvador as an example, right? The situation in El Salvador is tragic, right? The violence is, there was a woman, I believe it was on CNN, it could have been CBS, but one of the national networks yesterday, who was a young mother from El Salvador, whose child, a young boy, less than 10 years old, had seen a man shot in the face and murdered in the street in front of his house. She's not fleeing to this country out of any ill will. She's coming as a refugee to seek a safe place to raise her child and to contribute to the American vibrant spirit. Now, that's the immediacy of it and the country and the situation. The past administrations, right? We have to look back. The situation in El Salvador, you're exactly right. That goes back decades, right? There was a decade-long civil war there when a repressive regime was murdering. If you remember, Bishop Romero, the Jesuit missionaries, a repressive regime, was murdering Catholic priests and nuns, was slaughtering women and children, right? Now, at the time, our country, the administration at the time, under Reagan, made a bad decision and funded with taxpayer money $1 million a day the sitting government because they claimed they didn't realize that they were the bad guys in that equation who were doing those things, right? So this situation does go back decades. It does involve past administration, but we can't go back in time and change that. What we have a responsibility to is our own decisions as a country today, and will we continue to be that shining light on the hill? Will we continue to be a beacon of democracy and humanity? And 24 hours after our country pulled out of the Human Rights Council internationally, we're having this discussion. So we are at a tipping point about what we will choose as the principles of our country. Will we continue to be a shining light of democracy and of hope for people seeking a better life across the country? Or are we going to change our values?
Okay, I've got 1 minute, real quick. Is it hypocritical of the Democratic Party and the left to sit there and talk about humanity and morality when this party is all behind abortion, yet has no issue or has a different approach to illegal immigration?
I think it's a red herring and a false equivalency to try to distract voters and American citizens from the crisis with the immigration system and our values as a country on that, with separate questions about a woman's right to choose or about a person's right at the end of their own life. I think every time we see somebody hold out a glittering object, that is a sort of a classic tactic to say this, not that.
Okay, Isaac, I got to roll. Appreciate your time.